Hey everybody, today I want to talk about the Stockholm Syndrome, also known as trauma bonding, and why this is important if you have been in a narcissistically abusive relationship, or what to look out for when you suspect that someone that you know is in one of these relationships. The Stockholm Syndrome came from a bank robbery in Stockholm, Sweden, where they found that the people who were captured ended up developing empathy and a sense of almost like wanting to defend their abuser, falling in love with their abuser, with their captor in this situation. And you can see how this applies to narcissistic abuse, to so many different situations, but in particular, narcissistic abuse. Why? Well, Stockholm Syndrome has 4 criteria. The first one being there's a perceived threat to your life, where the victim feels like the abuser or the captor could in fact kill them. And this might be a physical threat. They feel that they're actually going to die, they're going to kill their body. It might be a psychological threat. They might just fear that they're going to die. It might be a sense of like soul death, where they're destroying your soul, or a sense of identity theft, where they are destroying your entire sense of self. The second criteria of Stockholm Syndrome is an act of kindness. When the captor or abuser extends a small offer of kindness to the person being held hostage, to the victim in the relationship, that perceived kindness then tricks the brain, confuses the brain. The third criteria of Stockholm Syndrome is the isolation, where the captor or the abuser has isolated the victim or the hostage from the perceptions of other people. And this is a classic abuse maneuver where the abuser will always isolate the victim. They will triangulate people in your life away from you. They will make you jealous or paranoid or afraid of people in your life, people who actually care for you. They will physically isolate you. They might move you to a new place in some way, like get rid of your cell phone, somehow isolate you from connecting with the outside world. Or it might just be this very covert kind of manipulation where, say you spend most of your time with this abusive person, and like the rare times, like the one time or the rare times when you make plans to go see a friend, a sister, a brother, a cousin, someone who actually cares about you, you want to go do something with other people, they will purposely sabotage that. Like before you're going out, they will make you so upset that you either lose it and you feel so horrible that you can't even leave the house and you can't go out, and then they get you because they keep you stuck at home. Or you do go out and then you feel so horrible while you're out that you can't have a good time, you can't really connect with the other person, and you're so fearful that you don't actually tell them what's going on. And these kinds of things will happen a lot. So there's that isolation aspect where they don't want you to hear other people's perspectives, because other people who are healthy, who are looking in on that, who actually care about you, they will call this out. They will recognize the signs of this. The fourth criteria for Stockholm Syndrome is the perceived inability to escape, where the victim, the hostage, feels like there's no escape, there's no way out. This is where the learned helplessness comes in. The victim feels like it's hopeless, like they can never get out. Maybe they got roped in financially to this person, the abuser didn't want them to get a job or told them to quit their job, or sabotaged their reputation at work and they lost their job, or just maybe they're self-employed, they're an entrepreneur, they have their own business, and they just feel so crappy because of all this abuse that they can't put that energy into their business. The business is failing, they don't have the financial resources to get out. It could be a legal thing. Often when I hear from men, it's usually because they're in a relationship with a very toxic partner and they have children with this woman, and the whole system is set up against the man. The system is set up against the man admitting the words, "I'm being abused," at the hands of a woman. It's set up such that the man does not get help from domestic violence shelters. It's set up such that the man already has a huge battle ahead of him in the family courts, which tend to take the side of the woman. And they just don't realize that there's abuse taking place. So I hear this happening a lot, where people just feel this sense of helplessness, like they can't get out. They feel like they can't get out. And that's another part of feeling like you're trapped in this Stockholm Syndrome, in the trauma bond. The Stockholm Syndrome, the trauma bond, this is why people can't leave. This is why they keep going back, why they get sucked back like a rubber band effect. Like they get away and they're doing great, and you're talking to them, and it's amazing. They have no contact with the abuser, and then all of a sudden they hear from the abuser, and it's like that rubber band effect. They're right back in that relationship, and you're going, oh my God, all that progress, all that time that you got away, what happened? Stockholm syndrome is what happened. This is a primal defense mechanism to survive. Right? It's like this is the primal method that the human brain and the nervous system reacts in these kinds of situations to keep you alive. And the hook here, like the real hook here, is that kindness, the perceived kindness. So, that goes along with that intermittent reinforcement where at first the abuser idealizes and love bombs and gives you all this positive stuff. And then they start in with the devaluation, with the meanness, the cruelty, putting you down, all of that kind of behavior. But then they're very careful to keep dosing you with those little things of kindness. Like maybe you come home and they went out to your favorite restaurant and they brought you that food, or they brought you your favorite drink, or they offered you, a ride to the airport or something like that. They offer to help you in some way. And that's where it gets really tricky. Do not accept help from people that you know are abusive, because that help always comes with an ulterior motive. Abusive people know that if they extend a small perceived kindness, which they don't care about, they don't mind doing that. They don't mind being all fake and pretending like this is something that they want to give to you. Like they just put that ego totally aside. Like there's no pride there. They're happy to help you. Why? Because they know it's going to hook you. They know if they do something kind, if they give you one of these gestures and you need their help especially, they know that they got you. So be really cautious with that. I think the worst part about the Stockholm syndrome is that what it really reinforces is that no one believes you, and especially if you're involved with one of these covert types of narcissists where, they're not overt, they're not out there, they're not out in the open about their narcissism, they're not bragging about their narcissism. In the community, they're pretending to be like this very exemplary figure, and everyone admires them and looks up to them and thinks amazing things about them, and maybe they appear to even have some kind of like normal role in the community, or like some kind of, leadership position at work. And then maybe you're the person at work that they target, and nobody wants to believe you because everybody else only sees the great parts about this person. Or you're in this relationship, maybe it's an intimate relationship with this person, but like everybody else in society thinks they're amazing and they don't want to believe you. And it just reinforces this whole thing of feeling so alone. And you feel so alone, you feel so isolated, because when you do share that with people, when you try to tell people what's actually going on, nobody wants to believe you. And this just becomes very, very damaging to the psyche of the victim, because if you go out there and you tell people and people are like, you're just overreacting, I'm sure you're just imagining that, you're blowing it out of proportion, you just can't let it go, and they say these things, and then if you start internalizing that and start to believe that, that is very damaging to the healing process, because the healing process has two things at the very foundation. One is safety. You have to feel safe, not just in your physical environment, but also in your emotional environment. And that means, are you able to be truthful with yourself? Are you able to be around people that you trust, that love you, that have your back? Do you have your back? Do you feel safe with yourself? The second one is truth. Truth is what set you free. Truth is what helps you realize what happened and make sense of what happened, understand what happened. And sharing that truth with other people is paramount to the healing journey. That's why you need to have a support network, people who get it, people who understand, people who validate you, not like the societal temptation and pattern, which is to blame the victim for what happened, and if you're hanging out with people who won't allow you to speak your truth, if you're hanging out with people who don't believe your truth, you're setting yourself back from healing. You need to get away from those people. You need to be around positive people, uplifting people, unconditionally loving people who support you in your truth and help you heal and get better. The only other possibility is to fall back into the denial. And that's very dangerous, because the denial isn't healing. The denial is repression. it's resistance, and it's only going to get worse the longer you stay in denial. And that's the temptation really here, is the cognitive dissonance, because it's like, on one hand, this person is incredibly abusive and does these horrible things, and when you look at the bigger patterns, you just see like this person is an abusive person. And then on the other hand, what you see is that there's like these intermittent acts of kindness. Like, this person does these things that seems like they care about you. It appears that they care about you, and it confuses your mind when you're trying to hold on to both of these things. Well, it's this and it's this. They're abusive and they're kind, but it's all a big picture. And that's the thing, because that cognitive dissonance will keep you stuck. That cognitive dissonance will encourage you to go back into the denial. The cognitive dissonance is what like short circuits the brain. Like, it fries the brain, where you're going back and forth, and you're like, zzz, and then you're right back in the denial. You've slid right back into the denial. You've gone through the abuse amnesia, where you've forgotten the abusive parts, and now you're just, rationalizing how this is a good person, and they're really trying to get better, and they're really sorry, and they're really making efforts. And that's a very, very dangerous place to be. So I just wanted to put this out there to let you know what to look out for with the Stockholm Syndrome, with the trauma bonding, how to recognize this within yourself. Like, because there is a point where you can catch those moments of lucidity where you're like, this is just like that video I watched where that woman was saying, if this and that are happening, and then if that and that are happening, it's probably this, and watch out for this. This is me. This is that voice telling you, this is what to watch out with Stockholm Syndrome. This is what trauma bonding is. This is why it's so dangerous. And this is why you want to go back. This is why one text, one email that you receive and look at will just suck you right back. And this is why you don't want to answer those emails. This is why you don't even want to read those communications coming from the abuser. This is why you want to delete and block. And of course, a lot of these people are going to make up fake Facebook profiles or fake Twitter accounts, or get some kind of unlisted or private number, or call you from a payphone. Do those things even exist? I think so. But they'll find any sort of way of calling you from another number if they suspect that you're blocking them and that you don't want to talk to them. So, my advice to all that is screen all your calls. If you've got a cell phone, it just tells you the number. It doesn't tell you who that is. Let that go to voicemail. Let it go to voicemail. If that's important, if that's some, person or situation that needs to get your attention, they're going to leave a voicemail for you, and you can call them back. Do not answer that call. If I were you, I would get a brand new number. I wouldn't keep that same number, because then that person can always find you. They still have your number. They can invent another phone number. They can find another phone number. They can call you. They always know how to reach you. They can find you on WhatsApp. They can find you, who knows, if you linked your phone number to your Facebook account, you shouldn't be doing that. Make sure that you keep that private. You want to cut all of this off so that you can stop all of that communication from coming at you, because it's literally like, if you might be really strong. You might have a really strong mind, a really strong willpower, a really strong sense of self-control, and you feel amazing. When you're in no contact, you have your power, you feel amazing. That one little text, the one little call, the one little Facebook message, and you get right back into that. So you want to prevent that from happening by taking these steps. Don't think that you can overpower that. You can, sometimes you can, especially when a long time has passed by, you've really worked through these patterns. But if you're not there yet, and that's okay. Even today, I know sometimes if I get a message from a certain person, that feeling inside where I'm going to want to go, well, but maybe, no, stop that, right? It's so dangerous. If you allow them that opportunity, if you read that text, if you read that email, you're only putting yourself in a dangerous position. Don't put yourself in that position, because this is a primitive response from the brain and the nervous system. This is how your brain and nervous system is wired. You need to be aware of these patterns so that you recognize them before you get sucked into that. I just wanted to put this really important information out there for you. If you like this, hit like. If you know somebody who's going through this and you want to share this video with them, go ahead and do that. You might save a life. You might really save somebody even a lot of heartache, a lot of misery, getting sucked back into the same old situation with another abusive person. And beware of this in society. Beware of this in the information that you're digesting too, because the more aware of this that you are through your interpersonal interactions, the more you're going to start to notice this in society. society, in media, and the whole way that culture is set up nowadays. And that's where it gets really interesting. Thanks for tuning in today. I'll see you guys soon. Sending you all a big hug.